Hi, it's Mark here from newhometricks.com, and today I thought it would be a good idea just to show you around the Sonos user interface now that we've got it up and running. The user interface is fairly easy to get to grips with. We're here in the favorites screen at the moment, and as you can see at the top, it's showing us that we're mainly focused on the living room. One of the things that you can do with the Sonos system is you can have speakers in various different rooms in your house. So similar to how with our Philips Hue lighting, you can define the rooms that the various lights are set up in, you can do a similar thing with speakers and Sonos. So if you just tap on living room at the top here, you can see it comes up with the various different rooms that you have. We've only got the one at the moment, the living room, but it is possible if you tap on the little group button to group rooms together so that you can have music playing in various rooms and you don't have to manually start playing the music in each individual room. You can group them together for a session of playing music throughout various rooms in your house, or indeed throughout your whole house. I'll just cancel out of this here and tap on rooms again, and that takes us back to the main screen here. If you want to play music, the main thing that you're going to want to do is select the source from which you're going to be playing. If you tap on the hamburger menu up in the top left here, you can see all the various different sources from which you can play music. So if I tap on Spotify, for example, it brings up a sort of mini Spotify user interface where we can go in and choose the music that we'd like to play. So anyone that's familiar with Spotify will be fairly familiar with how this works. If we go into genres and moods, for example, let's just go into, go into top lists here, Hot Hits UK, and just play all. Now that immediately starts playing the music, and you'll see down at the bottom there's a little strip here across the bottom in black. If I tap on that, that brings up the kind of now playing interface where you can actually see what's playing. Tap the fast forward button to skip to the next track, pause the music, and of course down at the bottom we've got a volume control. Now there's a few things that we can do here alongside just viewing what's playing. If I tap on the three dots next to the name of the song on the right hand side here, that should bring up an additional bit of user interface where we can do a few different things here. Start radio, save to your music, bring up album info. Down here at the bottom there's a little switch to enable crossfading. That can be quite nice, and we've also got a sleep timer that we can activate as well if we want. So I'll just cancel out of that. Down in the very bottom right hand corner you've also got a music queue. So if you'd like to play around with that, you can edit the music queue, add music to this queue, of course, and that's great if you want to just sort of queue music up to play in a continuous fashion. So come out of that. Now to get out of the now playing screen, you can just swipe down on the album art at any time. Now I've got a few other music sources set up here. Spotify is of course a streaming service, but I've also got Microsoft Groove added here. If I tap on that, that takes me into the kind of standard user interface for accessing music in one of these sort of music locker type services. I don't have a Groove subscription, but I do have music in my OneDrive account, and all of the playlists that I've got saved are in here, all of the songs that I've got. So if I just tap on collection, for example, I can go into songs, and that should come up after a few moments with all the various songs that I've got stored in the music locker online, and these will just be streamed down directly to the speaker and played there. So fairly easy to access all of that kind of stuff. Again, if I go into the hamburger menu, I can also access music on this phone. So I'm on my iPhone here. I don't really have any music stored through iTunes or anything like that, but I do have a few podcasts. So if you wanted to play podcasts, then you can do that as well. You might have that synced to your phone, as I do. There's a few other things that you can do here as well. You can access radio through the TuneIn radio service. You don't have to add this. This is just preloaded by default. As part of the Sonos app. If you tap on this, it will get you into the radio service, and you can just go ahead and find radio stations around the world. Let's go ahead and search in the top right here. I'm in the UK, so let's search for, some BBC radio stations, for example, and you see those coming up on the screen. If I tap on more, it should give us more of a complete list, and there's a whole load of different BBC stations here, for example, but you can browse stations around the world. If I cancel out of this, let's go into sports and have a look at some other stuff. Got a whole load of different radio station categories that you can go into. Let's go into, I don't know, go into rugby, radio stations. World Rugby Radio. Okay, so you've got loads of different things in here that you can choose from. So if you're looking to listen to live radio, you can do that too. So podcasts, radio, music on streaming services, music on music lockers, music that you've got stored on your phone. It's very easy to access these things. If there's a music service that you want to browse for, you can just go add music service in the hamburger menu here, and it will come up with the full list of music services that you can add, just as you were able to do at the end of the setup process that you saw in the last video. And there's a whole load of different music services to choose from here, some that you may have heard of, some that are less well known. So chances are whatever music service you're using, it'll probably be here, and there'll probably be a way for you to use Sonos to play the music that you want to play. Now, obviously, just outside of just looking at how you actually play music, there's a few other things that we can do here. If I go into settings and go into room settings, for example, you can tap on your living room or whatever room that you've got defined, and you can make a few changes. Now, this will vary depending on what kind of speakers you've got set up in your room. We've just got the Sonos Play 1, so there's not necessarily the full gamut of features that you might have from other more advanced Sonos speakers, but there are still always going to be a few basic settings. You can go into the EQ here, adjust bass, treble. You can enable or disable loudness to boost the volume. You've also got the ability to enable true play tuning. Now, this is a fairly nifty feature that Sonos provide. In order to activate true play tuning for the first time, what you've got to do is you've got to go through a kind of a tuning process. Now, the app walks you through that. Basically, you kind of wave your phone around in the air as you walk around the room, and the speakers play a tone which is picked up by the microphone of your smartphone, and that kind of tells the Sonos speakers what the acoustics are like in your room, and then they adjust themselves accordingly to give you the best listening experience. Now, I don't know how effective this is, how well that works. I'm sure there are people out there who understand this a lot better than I do. I'm not really an audiophile in any sense of the word. But hey, anything that can improve the quality of sound that you get in your room has got to be good, I guess. There's a few other things that you can do in here. You can, of course, change the name of the room. You can enable or disable the indicator light on top of the speaker. Some people might want to turn that off. Some people might want to disable the touch controls on the speaker. And you can also create a stereo pair. So if you've got a second Play 1, you can pair them together, and that will turn them into a stereo pair so that you get left and right audio going to the relevant speakers. So there's some interesting settings that you can play around with here. If I come back out and just go back into the main settings menu, you've got loads of different settings that you can play around with here. And of course, you've got options in here to add more speakers, add more rooms. I'm not going to go through all of the settings that you've got available in here, but needless to say, there's various different things that you can play around with here if you want to adjust settings and make changes. Back in the hamburger menu, there's even a way to enable an alarm clock using your Sonos speakers. So you can just tap on new alarm, choose when you want the alarm to be, what room you want the alarm to play in, all of that kind of stuff. So they've kind of thought of everything, I guess. There's quite a lot of different services that you can use. There's different ways to play music, different ways that you can group your speakers together. If you need help with any of this, they've got a help and tips section built in, which allows you to get information on how to make the most of this. But it is fairly easy to use, and I have to say, so far we've not had any problems with it. It certainly falls under the category of it just works. One of the great things about this is that you can also have multiple people using it. So if you've got different people in your house, each of whom have a smartphone, they can all connect to your Sonos speaker setup, and they can all access the music system. Now, for those of you who are a bit worried about people coming into your house and playing around with your speakers, I guess one thing that you can do here is you can maybe have a guest wireless network in order to control that. So I guess one of the things that we will be looking at soon is how the experience changes as you add more speakers to your setup. It's nice to have the first speaker here, but of course we'd like to get more. and see how that works as we put speakers maybe in other rooms. And also I want to have a look at integration at some future point as well. So one of the things that I've heard is that Sonos and Amazon Echo are going to be linking up together. I don't think that feature is available just yet, but they did announce it earlier in the year, and that's expected to be coming soon. Don't have an Amazon Echo yet, but that is one of the things that I'm planning to look at a future point. And if we can get these sort of things working together, and of course get Echo and Philips Hue and all of these things working in an integrated fashion, that would be kind of an interesting setup. But for now, I hope that provides a good tour of the basics of the Sonos user interface. I have written up a bit of a blog post to go with this. If you have a look at the description below, you'll find the link to that, or have a look at the website newhometricks.com. And in the meantime, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.